What's up, beautiful people of the internet? I hope you're having a great day today. Let's talk about Instagram stories and what are some of the things you can do to be a little bit more awesome on that platform. So this is a tips/features video to help you understand the platform a little bit better and use it a little bit better. But before we dive into that, let's take a second to think about why would a business want to do Instagram stories in the first place. You see, the world of the internet has evolved to a place where news that's more than 24 hours old is very, very old news these days. It moves very, very fast. The days of us waiting to find out about today's news in tomorrow's newspapers, those days are long gone. That is why media companies like News 24 are apparently shutting down their entire photography departments, and this is a phenomenon that's happening all around the world because it is so much easier to curate these stories from social media sources. For example, when there was a flooding in Johannesburg just a few weeks ago, I found out first about that on social media, and even in the evening news that day, they cited some videos and photos from social media. Everybody is becoming a journalist these days. While that might not be an ideal situation for journalism, it is just perfect for the kinds of platforms that we have at our disposal. What does this mean for businesses though? It means that now, because I strongly believe that moving forward, platforms like Snapchat and Instagram stories and other platforms like this that are based on real time, even live video, that are based on giving people access to what's happening in the moment right now or in the last 24 hours, those are gonna get more and more exposure, and they're gonna get more, they're gonna get even stronger every day. So now is the time for businesses to test these things out, figure out how they can build an audience and keep their audiences engaged. In case you are wondering what you should be sharing with your audiences on social media, I've created an entire video about that, and you can find that on our YouTube channel, an entire video about tips on what you can share as a business and take people behind the scenes, tell them a human story. So you can find that on a YouTube channel, and I'll add a link to that below. So let's get straight into the tips. Tip number one, zooming while recording. And this is one of the simplest things to do. So if I go into my Instagram stories, I can swipe right. Let's go back here quickly, and I will go into my Instagram app, and I can get to my Instagram stories in two ways. One is to swipe right, just like that, and the other one is to tap on that little camera icon just on the top left of my screen, and I will get into the Instagram stories nonetheless. So if I want to record a video, I tap and hold the record button, and if I want to zoom into something, I can just swipe straight up, and that will zoom into my image. The zoom on this phone is not very good. So if I swipe my finger down again without lifting it from the record button, it will zoom out. And as you can see, the video will have been recorded, and if I play it back, it will do the zoom in and zoom out. So that's simple and straightforward. I'll just close that over there. Tip number two is how to send disappearing stories directly to friends. So if I take a photo or a video, in this case I'll just take a photo, now I will get a round button on the bottom right corner of my screen, and if I tap onto that, it will bring out the people that I follow I'm connecting with on Instagram, and I can choose several of those to send their story to. The good thing to know about this is that once you send a story to these people, it'll disappear as soon as they read it. This is a feature that Instagram took from Snapchat. Well, the whole Instagram stories is just a Snapchat thing. So I'll just go back there. I don't need to send any of that, and I'll close that again. Tip number three, how to share photos and videos that you've taken more than 24 hours ago. Now, one thing you need to understand with Instagram stories is that when you swipe up, you get access to your photo gallery, but this only gives you access to photos that you've taken in the last 24 hours, photos and videos that is that you've taken in the last 24 hours. So if I swipe up just like that, I will see the images right at the bottom here. These are all images that have been saved to my phone or taken by my phone in the last 24 hours. Now, if there's an image that I want to share and it's not there, or I took it more than 24 hours ago, there's a little trick I can do with that. So I will go to my gallery right here, photos gallery, and I can go to my camera roll. Now these images, none of these images are older than 24 hours, but if they were, I can go to any of these images. Let's say I'll select this one, looks delicious, and what I can do is that I can go to the sharing options and create a duplicate of that image just like that. When I create a duplicate of that image, now suddenly if I go back to my gallery, I've got two of these images, one and 2. So if the previous one was older than 24 hours, that will not show up in Instagram stories, but the copy of it will show up in Instagram stories. So if I go back to my Instagram stories right here and I swipe up again, I will see those images. And now I have 3. Well, I made a couple of copies when I was doing a dry run on this, and I can select that image and share it to with my tip number 4. How can you see who has watched your story? So if I go back to my Instagram profile right here, these are my stories, and if I tap on that, I can see this is my story, a story that I've shared previously. And if I swipe up on the story, I can see how many people have watched the story. So the first story that I've shared has been watched by 6 people. I can see who they are. And the second story that I've shared, it has been seen by 1 person. This is good to know who's watching and what are people watching and enjoying. So if you see that people are watching, you've shared 5 stories and people are watching, 16 people are watching until the story number 3, and then everybody leaves, then you know you're doing something that's not connecting with the people maybe enough, and maybe you want to do something different and experiment with that way. And in here also, I can save to my phone. I can share that to Instagram. So if I tap right here, I can share that to Instagram, or I can delete that story as well. So that's some additional features you can do in there. Tip number 5, hiding your stories from certain people. Now, there's times when you don't want certain people to see what you're up to, or whatever the case might be. What you need to do with that is, if you swipe right to go into your Instagram stories, there's a little gear on the top left corner of the screen, and if I tap on that, it'll bring my features up. Now, I've hidden my story from 1 person. I don't know why or who that person is. I'm not going to show them to you. So if I tap on that hide stories from, and if I swipe up, I can see all the people that connected to me, and I can choose who I don't want to see my story. So I can just select the names right here and tap on done, and those people will not see my stories the next time I share them. This could be maybe because these people are trolling you on the internet, and then you share something, they have something negative to say about it. For whatever reason, if you want to hide the story, that's how you do it. Tip number 6, rewinding and fast forwarding and pausing stories. So those are 3 things you can do in Instagram stories. So let's take a look at what that looks like. If I go into my Instagram profile, on top here I can see all my stories from people that I follow. Now let's say I want to see Kevin Hart's story. I can just tap on that, and here we go. So this is Kevin Hart's story, and at the top here you can see the progress bar showing me how far I am in that specific story. Now imagine that your screen is divided into 2 right down the middle. On the right, if I tap on the right, I fast forward to the next story. If I tap on the left, however, I go back to the previous story. So if there's something that I wanted to see again in the previous story, I can just tap on the left side of my screen and I will go back to that story. And if there's something that I want to see in detail, I can just tap and hold on the screen. It'll pause that story. Tip number 8 is how to tag people in your story. There's several reasons why you might want to do this. Sometimes you just want to call someone's attention to a story, or maybe you've created a video that shows how to do something that your customer has asked, or maybe you just want to mention another business to give them recognition, and maybe they want to mention you to give you recognition, and you can do these things in collaboration with other businesses. But the short of it is that you can do that now. So if I go into my Instagram stories and I take a picture right here, and if I go to write something by tapping on the letters on the top right corner, I can just start typing the @ sign, and then what Instagram is going to do is going to bring me the names of all the people that start with those with those alphabets that I'm typing in right here. DJ, let's see who comes up. DJ Khaled comes up, DJ Domi comes up, DJ Spoo Live comes up, and I can tag them to call their attention, and they will get a notification if they have enabled a notification. There's some very, very useful and creative ways to use this feature, and you can use this to thank your most loyal followers. For instance, the people who interact with you the most on the stories, you can mention them and give them a shout out. So you can create a video of yourself saying thank you and mention them by their handles, and they will get a notification. It can be very, very handy. You unleash your creativity on this. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I hope you found those useful. Let me know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, so that you can stay up to date with these things. We've got a podcast that goes over news every week about these things that are coming out and how you can use them. You can find everything about this on afrodynamics.com, and we hope to hear from you soon. Until next time, cheers, bye-bye.